tech, highfalutin, lazy, or foo-foo America gets, we will never stop hunting and fishing. This is the Hunting Quest. We take 1 hour of every week and talk about our favorite things in the world, hunting and fishing. You'll get tips and help on the fishing environment locally in the DMV area. Plus, we're going to have fun along the way. This is the Hunting Quest. And now your host, Mike Tippin and Bennett Malin.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Wednesday night episode of the Hunting Quest podcast. Tonight we're joined with Mr. Chris Barnes from Hunt 49. Chris, how you doing?
Man, I'm good. How about you?
Doing a lot better now. So, Chris, tell me a little bit, kind of about Hunt 49 and just kind of the backstory on it, how you guys got started and what made you decide to do this.
Sure. Hunt 49 is an online resource mainly for traveling turkey hunters. We post rules and regulations for every state that has a spring turkey season. I'm sure most of your viewers, listeners know there's only 49 states that you can hunt turkeys in the spring. Alaska does not have a season. So we've got a condensed version of the information that's important to a turkey hunter, all in a easy to read, easy to find format. On our website, hunt49.com, and then both Apple and Android apps. It's all free to download, free to use. And as far as the backstory, I made it because I needed it. Anybody that has done much out-of-state hunting at all knows just how bad some of these state websites are.
Oh, they're brutal.
And I think that's one of the best features of our site and our app. It's the same information in the same order for every state.
Yep.
So if you want to know the dates that turkey season opens, and say you're planning a trip through Tennessee, Oklahoma, Kansas, South Dakota, boom, 5 clicks and you got it. There's no hunt and peck. It's all easy to read and updated in a timely manner.
I say, and you've got, everything down to even which states are on a lottery system, what those lottery dates are. I know I had talked to you a couple of weeks ago about wishing I had found you like a week sooner because we'd missed the cutoff date for Kansas by like 4 days, and we were like, dang it. Well, that's awesome. So you're a big turkey hunter then?
Absolutely. I killed my first turkey in '86. I hate to date myself like that, but yeah, I've been hunting them strong ever since.
Oh, that's awesome. I see that mount on the wall behind you of all 4 of them. That's beautiful looking.
Thank you. Yeah, that was my my COVID slam. We did a single season slam in 2020.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. So with doing this, I would have to imagine you've traveled to a lot of the states, if not all of them, to hunt turkey.
Really, we didn't decide probably until 2020 that we wanted to go after the Super Slam. That's
okay.
Kind of, I guess it's in vogue now. It's the popular thing to do, but to me, it's just a good excuse to hunt a bunch of turkeys in new places.
That's right.
I think I've marked 17 off the list so far. I've got a few repeats that I've got to go back to, but there's no strict timeline, just trying to enjoy the journey.
Yep, absolutely. So is there one on the top of your list that you really want to go to, or one that you've absolutely loved and don't think it'll be beat?
My saying is the western states are a treat, while some of the eastern states are a chore.
Yeah, that's fair.
You grow up hunting in the east, and you get to go out and hunt a Rio or a Merriam's, and it's for a serious turkey hunter. If you've never experienced that, you need to. Some of those turkeys know how to act like turkeys.
You mean they don't come down off the roost and then just Be quiet and don't make noise again for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy yesterday that said he thinks some of them have tunnels. I think I went to.
I believe it up here. Yeah, I was telling you before we started, man, Maryland can be brutal sometimes, especially out on public land where they get all that pressure. It's hard hunting.
Yeah, I think any public, especially in the East, can be challenging at best. Yeah, some of it's rough.
Oh man. So what's your most memorable turkey hunt? Sorry, I had to hit you with one hard one at least off the start.
It'd probably be a Montana hunt.
Okay.
This may take a minute, but
Hey, that's fine. We got all the time in the world.
Good story. We had found this big ranch in northeastern Wyoming. I've actually hunted it 3 or 4 times. So our plan is more or less a trespass fee hunt. We just paid a fee and had access to the ranch.
Mm-hmm.
Then we hunted on our own. So I think on our second day we managed to kill our birds there. So we had bought Montana licenses, so it wasn't a far drive. So drove up into Montana, and before we got there, we had done some e-scouting, found a piece of public we liked, but it was landlocked. So we tracked down the neighboring landowner, called him, and asked if we could cross his ranch to get to this piece of public. And I don't think he got many calls from turkey hunters. He said, well, sure you can, but I really think the hunting would be better on me. So
Well, that works out.
It worked out great. So after we killed our birds in Wyoming, we drove up, met him, and just the nicest guy you could imagine, gave us the keys to the kingdom, and went in. First afternoon, my hunting partner, my buddy Brian, we managed to get him a bird. So coming back out, we spotted another one feeding in a meadow and stayed with him till dark. Got a pretty good idea where he was roosted. Drove back into Wyoming to spend the night because we're staying on this ranch. It's about an hour drive. So get up early the next morning, and winds probably 40 miles an hour. I mean, it was just horrible.
Yeah.
The tin roof on the cabin was rattling when we woke up. So drive back up there, hike in, and just about get under his tree. And believe it or not, I mean, he's a Merriam, so of course he's gobbling. He didn't care about the wind, but hit the ground. He went the other way, and that was the only gobble we heard all day long. So we'd set a time limit like 6:30. So we figured we need to be out of there by the end to drive back, pack up. We got an early flight the next morning. So late that afternoon, I mean, it felt like giving up, but we went back to the spot where we'd seen the most tracks, most sign in this farm road, and just more or less built a little natural blind, sat there and called the rest of the evening. And about 6 o'clock, it's getting close to quitting time. So we gave them everything in our vest. Mouth calls, pot calls, box calls. Nothing, still no gobble. So we start packing our stuff up. We stand up, step out in that farm road, just happen to look up, and there's a turkey sailing off the mountain in front of us. So this farm road I'm talking about is in a little valley between two mountains.
Mm-hmm.
So he's pitching off the one in front of us and landing on the one on our side. And we thought he had a red head, but weren't sure. So I looked at my buddy Brian. I said, "You think he saw us?" He said, "Well, I don't know what they can see when they're flying." I said, "Call to him," because he still had his call handy. So he called, and that turkey gobbles. So we hit the ground, and long story short, called him in, killed him 5 minutes later.
Oh, that's awesome.
So to go from the lowest to low
Right. Yeah. No kidding.
Turkey. I mean, we'd given up. We were walking to the car, and then it changed that quick, and ended up killing one.
Oh, it's awesome. That's crazy.
So, when I didn't know it at the time, but when we stood up and started packing up, Brian says to himself, kind of utters a little prayer. He says, "Send us one, Lord." So that's what happened, I guess.
Yeah.
So when we tell that story, we refer to it as the Montana miracle.
That's perfect. Oh man, you got a great story and a great name out of that one. Oh, so what's your what gun are you using? Shells, stuff like that. What's your go-to setup for everything?
I'm a TSS guy. As far as I'm concerned, you use the most efficient tool for the job.
Absolutely.
I don't care if I'm doing carpentry or, driving a truck. I want the best tool for the job.
Yep.
And I don't know why people are trying to make it controversial, because it's physics, it's math, it's obviously the most lethal shot out there. So I'm using a 870 Youth 20 gauge.
Okay.
And that's kind of a funny story. I bought it for my kids probably 15 years ago, and I made the mistake of carrying it one morning and killing a turkey with it. So it became mine, and I had to buy them another gun.
Hey, well, that works out sometimes.
Yeah.
Worked out for both of you. You got a good turkey gun, and they got a new gun.
It did. I love the youth model because it's so short and light.
Yep.
And 870 platform's just bulletproof.
Oh yeah, I mean they've got to be the best gun ever made. I mean you can't break those guns. You cannot mess them up. So you're shooting TSS, Remington 870 Youth. What are you using for like vests, and you got any big brand that you're sticking to or anything like that?
I'm really not a fan of a vest. I wear one most of the time. If I had a good way to carry a water bottle and a cushion, I probably wouldn't. And a lot of days when I'm planning on being really mobile, I just go with a bino pack and stick a water bottle in my pocket. I just picked up actually. Let me see. Last year I was running a Grounded brand vest, and just to try something different. This year I think I just bought a Badlands, so
there you go.
Set up a bit. I'll tell you after the first week or so of season how well it works.
Yep, there you go. Where are you guys starting off this year?
Mississippi.
It
opens March 15, and they're just all these states are pushing their opening days back. There's not a lot of options anymore if you want to start early.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give another plug to the site, Hunt 49. I do have a button open date that shows all the states in chronological order according to the day that their season opens.
Yeah.
So, we're starting Mississippi. Then we're carrying my hunting partner's daughter to Illinois for youth season, and from there, Iowa and Nebraska in one trip. We'll come back home and try to kill one here in Tennessee, and then we're doing New York and Pennsylvania together in one trip.
Hell yeah! What part of New York y'all going to? Upstate?
Actually, I'm just a passenger on that one. Brian has got it worked out, and I don't even know where we're going. I just know we're hunting both states.
Hey, perfect. It's more fun that way. It's a surprise. That's all you can ask for, really. Can't ask for much more than that. So, the other cool thing about this website that I think is probably my favorite thing is you have another tab at the top that shows your subspecies, and then within there you can go through and show all of the states where you can find those birds, right? And then then within each of those states, you go through and like you said, it's got all their information of, regulations, season dates, everything you need to do to get a tag and be legal and hunt those states correctly, which is really important because I feel like you get a lot of people that don't read the regulations and they're just, I'm going to go to Kansas and shoot a turkey.
Oh, yeah.
Some stuff that varies state to state. I know a lot of states still, I don't know if they still do, I haven't looked yet, but especially with the TSS, like we were talking about, because I shoot the TSS 9-shot, because that stuff is nasty. Don't let you run 9-shot. Oh, and we lost the stream. Nice. He's back. Give me a second. And you're back. All right. So there was a lot of states with the, running 9-shot, and then some states you have to run a little bit bigger pellet. Which I know a lot of guys, when that TSS stuff were coming out, they weren't paying any attention to that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And really the states kind of were lagging behind on keeping up with the technology.
Mm-hmm.
The last year or two, several have updated the regulations to allow it. But, yeah, there were a couple of years there, I'm sure a lot of hunters were in the wrong.
Right, yeah.
And just didn't realize it.
Yeah, absolutely. But, man, that TSS is nasty. I mean, you can't the only people that can complain about it and talk crap about it, you've never shot it. They've never patterned it. They've never shot a bird with it. I remember the first bird I shot with TSS was, I think I shot it at like 60 yards, 64 yards, something like that. And it was one of those, he came running up the hill with 2 hens, and the hens saw me, and they took off running, and he kind of stuck his head up one last time, and I was like, man, it's now or never. I patterned this shot at 60. I know it's good. And squeezed the trigger, and I mean, that bird was stone dead. Didn't flop, kick, nothing. And I kind of looked like, oh my God. I've never seen a turkey that dead. They always kind of, flop their wings a little bit or whatever. But, man, that bird was just knocked out.
And even these guys that say, I will never shoot at a turkey past 45 yards. Hey, that's cool. If that's your thing,
yeah,
I support you 100%. But if it will kill one at 60, think about what a good job it's going to do at 45.
Right, exactly.
Hey, what if you pull your shot and you only get a few pellets in him? I mean, It's still, my opinion, the best tool for the job.
Yeah. Well, and like with the 9-shot stuff, that's got like 300 more pellets in it than a, normal Longbeard XR lead 5-shot or whatever they are. That's an extra couple hundred pellets. That's a huge difference on that patterning board of what it's throwing out.
It is.
But yeah, man, that's awesome. I really wish I'd have found this website like a month earlier than when we started talking to you. Because it would have saved me a lot of headache that I'm going through right now with finding licenses and figuring out what's going on where and this, that, and the other. So you said there's mobile apps for Apple and Android, right?
That's right.
And they're
we developed the site in 2021 and then rolled it out to the public. Kind of did a soft rollout early 2022. Just promoted it some on social media, kept it low key, just wanted to get some feedback, make sure the site was going to work properly.
Mm-hmm.
Our first experience at the big NWTF show in Nashville was 2023.
Yep.
So that's when we were really, really pushing it, trying to recruit users. And the number one request we had, all the feedback was, we need an app. When are you going to have an app?
Mm-hmm.
So spent the rest of 2023 trying to make that happen and introduced the app this year at the NWTF show.
Awesome.
And again, feedback has just been phenomenal.
Awesome.
It's a lot of information right there at your face.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the thing I love about it too is it's well planned. Like, it's well organized on the website. It's not a bunch of just like random stuff in different places. It's very user friendly of how to get the information that you want. I mean, there's a map for crying out loud. You click the map on where you want to go, and it tells you what you need.
I was very serious when I said I designed it for myself. You know, I'm as serious of a turkey hunter as you'll find. So I put the information that was important to me, you know, at the top.
Yep.
Where it's going to be easiest to find and most useful.
That's awesome. So how do you guys, so I mean, each year are you going through and manually updating the regulations and dates and everything for all these states?
Yes.
How does that process work?
Well, I tell you, it's very frustrating when some of these states don't release their spring turkey regulations until February.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a completely manual process. Just going back and keeping a checklist and keep checking until they finalize their regulations. I don't mind telling you, 2021 was pretty rough building this thing from scratch.
I bet.
But now that everything is pretty much in place, the updates don't take that long.
Yeah.
But it's a tremendous amount of information, and we want to be factual, we want to be correct. So there's a lot of checks and balances, a lot of double checking to make sure that what we're publishing is correct. And hey, I don't mind telling you, I've missed some stuff. And the best thing about, turkey hunters are pretty good people. If they find out that something needs to be changed, they don't mind telling you, and I am more than happy to correct a mistake.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the website is absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to download the app tonight because I need to be checking on this stuff more often. I'm really bad about it. Now I've got a really convenient way of doing it.
There you go.
So,
and if you hunt multiple states, one of the biggest things that I've run into is the tagging requirements. Here in Tennessee, you're supposed to either electronically check it or fill out a paper tag and attach it before you even move the bird.
Right.
And then other states, there's no tagging or check-in process whatsoever.
Yeah.
So it just varies so much from place to place.
Absolutely. I remember one of the biggest ones that confused me, which not specific to turkey hunting, but when I got to Maryland, you can't hunt on Sundays in Maryland. And so, opening weekend of deer season, I was like, man, I'm going to go bow hunt this weekend. I get down there Saturday and hunted, didn't see nothing. And, man, I went back Sunday morning. I get down there about the same time. Parking lots are empty. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Maybe I'll sit here for a few minutes and, somebody will show up, surely. I sat there for like an hour and I was like, all right, something's wrong. And started looking through the regulations. Like, yeah, no hunting on Sunday. I was like, oh, well, shit. That's why we got to read regulations before we go hunt and understand what the hell's going on in these states.
It's funny, the no Sunday thing seems to be mainly a Northeast phenomenon.
Yeah. What I've seen from the research, a little bit of research I've done too into it, is that it's kind of just up here. Like, it's really nowhere else in the country.
I guess it's just tradition. Haven't figured that one out.
Makes no sense to me. But, so obviously you do a lot of turkey hunting, but I see a lot of deer on the wall behind you. You do a bunch of deer hunting too?
Yes, sir.
You do that at home, or you do the same thing and travel out of state for that?
I have traveled some. I love deer hunting in Kansas, hunted Iowa a few years, but, the hunting's so good here at home, it's hard to leave anymore, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I love an adventure, love to go see a new spot, but yeah, when it comes to deer, I'd rather hunt the home farm than anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you had to choose between the two, are you taking turkey or deer?
Oh, please don't make me choose.
You got to take one.
If turkeys had antlers, I'd be divorced and bankrupt.
Yeah, I hear that.
I'd probably choose turkeys, but if you ask me come September, I may change my mind temporarily.
So do you hunt anything else, or you mostly just stick to deer and turkey?
Deer and turkey.
Deer and turkey.
I've elk hunted a little bit, bear hunted once. Used to be a big duck hunter, but thankfully regained my senses and laid that shotgun down.
Come on now.
It's a tough gig in the southeast, man.
Oh, it's brutal everywhere now.
It's tough.
It's turning more into a money game than it is anything.
Yeah.
It's getting terrible.
We don't have the birds. It's a whole lot of work to go out and shoot one greenhead in the morning. It's just not worth it.
Yeah. Well, hell, a lot of the East Coast, them boys think they're hot stuff, or, they go out and shoot 2 or 3 wood ducks and think they lit the world on fire. Yeah. I just made like half of our audience mad, but whatever. They'll get over it. I grew up in Missouri where if we didn't go out and shoot our mallards by 8 o'clock, we were doing something wrong. So, So you're starting off. You said you're starting off this year in Mississippi.
That's right.
What's you getting all ready for that? You got everything. You said you were scouting and stuff like that down there. How's all that going?
Well, I'm working on some private access that's looking better, but I'm still scouting some public pieces, just in case.
Yep.
It's nice to have an A, B, C, and D in case you get to the gate and somebody's sitting there.
Right.
But again, public anywhere is tough. Public in Mississippi is really tough.
Yeah.
They don't have a huge number of birds, and come March 15th, if you want to hunt turkeys, it's basically there or Florida. So there's going to be a whole lot of hunters down there with me.
Yep, I hear that.
I hunted Mississippi 2 years ago and was actually working a bird that got shot so close to me I could hear him flopping in the leaves.
Oh, so, my God.
Yeah, that is my history with Mississippi.
That's brutal. That happened to me Maryland like 2 years ago. I was calling to a bird, and he'd fire off, and I'd be quiet for a little bit, call again. He'd fire off, a little bit closer, and call, and he'd fire off a little bit closer. And finally, I called one last time, and that gunshot cut him off mid-gobble. And, I mean, he boosh. I was like, well, at least I got him to stick his head out for you, and you're welcome.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, what the? I was like, all right, I'm going home. I'm over this.
Time to go to the house.
Yeah, I'm mad. I'm going to go get breakfast and go to sleep.
Yeah, that's tough.
It's public land's brutal, but it's fun, though. When it works out, there's something really special to it.
That's right. It's really rewarding, when you did it with all that competition out there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what makes it fun.
Probably my first public land turkey was Oklahoma. And we were struggling and hiked into this piece of public. There were boot tracks coming out so fresh, I don't think the dust had settled in them yet. But somehow, some way, we walked in there and managed to raise a gobble and killed one. So that one was really special.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's where I think we're going to end up in Oklahoma at some point this year. Not sure when yet. I don't think we even know when yet. But
yeah, Oklahoma can be crowded. It seems like everybody that wants a public land Rio, that's where they go.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're afraid of.
With you mentioned the Kansas draw, so there's going to be a lot of people that didn't get in on that.
Yep.
They're going to be looking for somewhere else.
Yeah, it's a nightmare, dude. We were banking on Kansas. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, we were banking on Kansas. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll go ahead and go look and, get that tag. I was talking to Mikey, and he's like, oh, dude, it's just an over-the-counter tag. Like, you don't even have to worry about it. Buy them when we get out there. Yep, nope, it's a draw.
Yeah,
that's the first thing I saw. Yep, first thing I saw. New for 2024. It's going to a lottery system. And I was like, no. So And I had actually called the state and asked, because it said on their website, any leftover tags are going to go back for sale to the public sometime in mid-March. And I called and I was like, hey, like, this is the zone I want to go hunt. We've got some buddies with property out there. And, are there any non-resident tags that are going to come available for that zone here in a couple weeks? And they were like, nope. I was like,
no.
Shit. All right, well, pick a new state for the Rio, because we ain't going to Kansas.
Yeah, it seems like all these states are reacting to reduced population, just trying different things. Nebraska is limiting their non-resident tags to 10,000 now.
Yeah.
They're still over the counter, but luckily I got one, but those 10,000 sold out in like 3 days or something. It was nuts.
Yeah, it's insane. That is absolutely insane. But, at the end of the day, it's good for the states. They're raising their money that's theoretically going back in to help the turkey population. So,
yeah, that's true. And, I guess if I lived there, I wouldn't like all these out-of-staters coming in either. So,
yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, it's fair. I get it. It still sucks, but I understand it a little bit.
Yeah, I know. Tennessee took 2 weeks away from us on the front end. They gave it back to us on the back end, but I tell you, hunting turkeys at the end of May in Tennessee is not going to be fun.
No.
It'll be about 110 degrees with 100% humidity.
Yep.
But, yeah, we've always started the Saturday closest to April 1st, which some years it fell at the end of March and some years it fell, at the beginning of April. But this year we're starting April 13. So,
oh, wow. That's a huge jump.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know how your birds are, but honestly, a lot of times up here in Maryland, it seems like that first weekend, unless you get lucky and you just, catch one off the roost and get him interested as he's coming down, they're still so henned up at that time of year that they don't care if you're calling or decoys or no decoys. They don't care what you're doing. They know where their hens are and where they're going, and they're gone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we still have some big groups. Early season, too.
Yeah. I say we had some huge groups last year. My uncle was sending me pictures a couple days ago, actually, of our farm back in Missouri of – like the one picture had like 23 birds in the same picture all out in the food plot eating. I was like,
nice.
I'm coming home one weekend to go up to the farm to shoot a bird. He's like, come on. Oh. But, well, right on, man.
So where are you going this year?
So this year we'll be here at home. In Maryland / Virginia, probably a little bit. I'm going to try to make it out to Missouri at some point, hopefully. And then I think we're doing a few other trips. I think South Dakota's on the book. And then we talked about maybe doing Kansas or Oklahoma, and then I think Florida also. So we'll see if any of those pan out. Yeah. If not, they don't. But should be fun. If nothing else.
Got an outfitter in Florida, or thinking about public?
So Florida, I think, is with a buddy. Oklahoma's with a buddy. South Dakota, we're going out there with an outfitter. Okay. And then Missouri will be private land on my family's farm, and then Maryland and Virginia will be mix of public and private land. We went and I hunted some private land last year in Virginia with one of my buddy's dads, actually. He's called me one day, and he's like, man, these birds keep running me in circles and blah, blah, blah. And, man, I just can't figure them out. I've had them close 3 days in a row now and can't get one killed. And I was like, what the hell you doing, old man? Come on, straighten out and kill one of them. And he's like, why don't you come down here and hunt them with me? Say less, I'll be there. So we went out and we got out there and we heard some birds down in the valley, and we started creeping down, and we set up on this wood line, and I started calling. We're sitting up on this hill, and I mean, it kind of flat and then just drops off. And we're sitting up there and calling and calling and calling, and they're responding, and I'm calling and they're responding. And finally I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to be quiet, and you can either come up here or don't. I'm tired of calling. Like, my mouth hurts, my hand's hurting. Like, I'm over it. I'm done calling to you. And about that time, we had a Jake and a hen come up the hill. And, man, they walked within 5 feet of us. I mean, we're just sitting on the ground. I'm sitting on a tree, and his dad was about 10 yards to my left, or on my right, sitting on a tree. And they just walked right in front of us, picking at grass, and the Jake kind of picked his head up at one point, kind of looked at me and tilted his head and did one of those things and went back to eating grass and kept on walking. And I look over at John, and he's like, man, why didn't you shoot that Jake? I was like, well, first of all, I don't really want to shoot a Jake, and two, this is the property that you have access to. Like, I didn't know if we were shooting Jakes or not. And he's like, man, screw that. If you see one of those, shoot at it. All right. Oh, okay. And so we sat there for probably another half hour or so and kind of got back calling again to see if those gobblers were still down in the valley. And sure enough, they were. And I was like, all right, well, time to be quiet again. I was like, surely they just watched that Jake and that hen walk up this hill. They know they're up here. And so we got quiet again, and I just couldn't take it. That is the curse that I have, is being quiet on a call. I have such a hard time doing it. When I've got a bird responding to me, just the adrenaline of it's like, I can't put it down. I have to call again because he's going to gobble again. And so, man, it was probably 10 minutes. You know, it felt like an hour since I had touched that call. And I called again, and he fired off again, and they're closer. And I'm like, oh, okay, they might be coming now. And so we're sitting there, and I called again. He fires off again. Now he's sounding real close. So I've got my gun up on my knee, and I'm looking and looking and looking. And all of a sudden, I see this like little half circle of brown. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, what in the hell is that? That hill was so steep that he was full struck coming up the hill. And all I could see was the top, little 3 inches of his fan moving up the hill. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, John, he's right here. And, he's older and couldn't really hear me because I'm trying to be quiet. So he's like, what? And I'm like, shut up. I'm like, shut up. He's right here. And he's like, oh, okay. Like, I don't think he heard me. And so I'm sitting there, and this bird starts coming up. And finally I see his head. And I click my safety off, and I'm just holding my bead on his head, just waiting. I'm like, surely at this point, John can see this bird. Why isn't John shooting this bird? I'm like, well, shit, maybe he can't see this bird. And so I'm like just sitting there reeling in my head of, do I shoot? Do I wait and let him shoot it? I don't know if he can even see it. I should probably just go ahead and shoot it. Man, I don't know. And I was like, all right, I'm going to let him take 3 more steps, and I'm shooting it. And about that time, he took 1 step. Boom! John cracked it. And I was like, oh, okay, John saw it. I jumped up and went running down the hill after it because, of course, it's just cartwheeling down this mountain. Oh, yeah. And I'm like, oh, crap. So I'm full sprint down this hill. Each lunge, I'm taking like 15 feet down this hill. Caught up to it and get back to the top. My phone's gone. It's laying in the grass like halfway down the hill. I had to go find that. And but it was super fun. It was probably one of my most memorable hunts, is getting him on that bird and watching him shoot it. And he was excited, and we're FaceTiming my buddy like, hey, look what we just did. We got him, and blah, blah, blah. And, it's to me, that's what it's all about. It's the same with me. And, I duck hunt a lot. I guide out here in Virginia, and, I've shot a lot of shotgun shells. I know I can shoot a bird if it's 20 yards backpedaling in the decoys. It's, it just doesn't do it for me anymore. It's the setting the decoys and calling, and, there's something about tricking a wild animal into thinking that those are live birds and coming over to check them out. That's
right.
It's almost an art at that point. That's why I do it. But so, yeah. It was like guiding a turkey hunt. I was like, I'm the wrong guy for this, but it worked out, so we'll take it.
Yeah, I get it. I used to guide turkey hunts back before my kids were old enough to hunt. I gave that up when they started getting some interest in it.
Mm-hmm.
But like 2007 to 2011, yeah, I was carrying guys in several states, and like you were talking about the ducks, the fun of it's calling him in, getting him in
Right.
inside of 40 yards or whatever. I mean, anybody can pull the trigger.
Right. I say after you pull the trigger, that's just when all the work starts. At that point, the fun's over, and you got to carry that bird 2 miles back to the truck and start skinning it out and cleaning it and doing all that kind of stuff. But at least you get some nuggets out of it or something at least. But
there you go.
That's when all the work starts. It's the same with deer hunting. Deer hunting's real fun until you pull the trigger, and then the work starts.
10 times worse than a turkey.
Oh, God. Some of those are brutal, man. Shoot one of those in the mountains, you got to drag that thing up that hill. Oh, my God. Oh, it's brutal. So, I think one last question here. What talk about after we shooting them? What's your go-to recipe for cooking them up?
It's hard to beat a deep fried turkey nugget.
That's right.
Cube up the breast and drop it in some hot oil. I mean, there's nothing better.
Absolutely. I think it's the best way to do a wild turkey.
Oh, yeah.
You can't beat that. Oh. Well, right on, Mr. Chris. So, once again, guys, the website, hunt49.com. The mobile app's the same, Hunt49 on the...
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Just search either the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, Hunt49. It should be the top entry.
Okay. And if people want to reach out to you, how do they get a hold of you or find you on Instagram or social media if you got any?
Instagram is Hunt_49. Facebook is official Hunt49. Or, go to the website, hunt49.com, hit the button, contact us, and the email comes straight to my inbox.
Awesome.
And like I said earlier, I welcome any feedback. I know at the NWTF show, I got a couple of suggestions that I've already implemented on the site. So, yeah, I love feedback. If there's something else you think's important that we're missing or something we could do better, I'd love to hear about it.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you again so much for your time. We appreciate you coming out. And definitely, we'll stay in touch throughout the season, and maybe we'll do another episode here at the end of the season in a couple weeks and get a recap of everyone's season and how we did.
Sounds good. I can tell Mississippi horror stories, and you can tell Maryland horror stories.
Maybe a few drinks involved in the next episode, but, we'll be all right.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Chris. And, guys, we'll see y'all next week.
You've been listening to The Hunting Quest. No matter how high-tech or lazy the rest of the country gets, we will always be hunting and fishing. If that's you, you've found your new family. Thanks for listening to the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. Reach out to us by email at info@thehuntingquest.com. And check us out on Instagram and YouTube at The Hunting Quest. See you next time.